Friends, comrades, here we are at the start of a new series. Hopefully this one is going to actually make it into YouTube because, well, I discussed all of the details in episode 0 if you want to see the setup and so on. So let me not digress and let's just get right into the action. Well, today, let's see. So this is just my messing around in KSP, but still trying to sort of emulate real life in a little bit of a way. You know, not too realistic, so we'll see how it goes. So for today, I want to build the R7 rocket. Now, I'm going to exit out of the game for a second, and hopefully this won't mess anything up. So we can just go, and I just want to show you something quickly. There we go. So here we are. This is of course just Wikipedia, nothing fancy here. You can look this up yourself. But basically this is the R7 Semyorka. Now if we just have a look here to the Sputnik rocket. So this is just taking Sputnik rocket literally. So all that we have to work with of course is the normal, you know, configuration by Korolev. And so we'll have the 4 strap-on boosters, and it has literally just one stage because the boosters are always counted as stage 0. So we don't count them. But then literally there's just one stage, and we can see that it extends, I don't know, about a quarter or a third if we count the whole thing above the booster. So I want to sort of get the proportions right, but I'm not really too worried about it. And so we'll start off with this one, the test vehicle. So you can see the test vehicle is almost exactly the same, except the payload here is pointier for some reason. I have no idea why, but we're not going to look into the specifics. I don't want to get bogged down. This is just KSP. We're just playing around here. The reason why I have this page open is, again, it just shows this one has actually a bit of a longer upper stage there, or, well, extension of stage 1. So, I just have to sort of keep that in mind. But this is why I really have this page open. So we can just have a look at the engines. So we have 4, of course, in the core stage with 4 of the vernier engines on the side. And then the strap-ons the same, but they have 2 verniers on each outside edge. And they have small fins as well on the bottom. So there we go, something like that. I have no idea. I'm not going to worry about the length and the height and all of that. So let's just get back into KSP and see if we can build a test vehicle and if it will fly. So be prepared for lots of bumbling and reverting and accidents and things like that, because it's just a sandbox. So there we go. Let's take a probe core, something that's relatively okay. Not the Sputnik, because this is just a test one. So just like that, that'll be fine. Now we have to just put a battery in here. One of the small ones will do. And then, since we're not really going to decouple this one, let's just put the fairing airstream thing on top here and sort of recreate that. It's more pointy like that. Okay, something like that. We're just going to send this one up to, let's say, suborbital trajectory, and then see how that goes, if it performs well and so on. So let me just edit this. I'm not too happy with that. There we go. It should be a bit pointier. I want to get those lines straight, but that's straight enough. Now the actual booster. And what I'm going to do in this series is I'm going to save all of these designs in my sub-assembly folder, so that whenever I feel like messing around again and trying something out, you know, a satellite or whatever, then I can just use the boosters that we built already. So there we go. Now for the actual thing, obviously I'm not going to use a diameter 2, what is that, a 2 meter diameter? That will simply not do, and certainly not a 3, so it has to be a 1. Now let's see, I'm not too sure. Let's turn this around like that and something like that. I don't know if that length will be good. Now here again I am limited by what I can do with stock KSP, so it's just something to keep in mind. The most realistic, I suppose, but again I'm not going for that kind of realism, but it would be, you know, the first stage is something like that. Obviously not quite this narrow, but then it has the engines, the 4 of them on the bottom here. And then the strap-on boosters are basically the opposite, and they sort of, you know, like that. They slot into one another nicely. Now we don't have that option, so we're just gonna have to go with what we've got. Something like that. And I see how they've, they're clipping in there a little bit, and I don't want that. So let me adjust this actually. This is just how they normally put together. There we go. So we don't have that flashing in the middle there. Then the engines, very important. We'll mess around more with it. I just want to see if we can get this right. So obviously we have to use the strut thing here because the octagonal struts, or the cubic octagonals to be exact, because we have to sort of get it like this, and it's just the easiest way. Now there's not really an option, it has to be the spark liquid fuel engine. I don't have any other option. Later on, I think when we build the sort of later variants or more powerful variants of the R7 design, the derivatives like the Soyuz rocket, then I'll use this one. It also has the 4 stages or four nozzles there, with then obviously the air breathing, but we'll just turn that off because it sort of looks right, the others won't exactly look right, but I'm not too worried. So let's get this thing. I just want to have them rotated so that you see these little pipes or whatever that is. I want them pointing towards the middle because it almost looks like they're then drawing the fuel from the center. Something like that. I like that. Now we will get some clipping here, but there's nothing I can do about that. So let's just maneuver this a little bit. And now here, because the offset thing isn't gonna allow me to push it inwards, I'm gonna have to push it to the right and then to the bottom. It might not be exact, but I want the 4 engines like this, not one there and there and there and there. Let me just see, is it looking more or less decent? Well, we can sort of judge by the pipes in the middle, something like that. And as long as there's nothing sticking out here at the side and the nozzles aren't clipping, I'm fine with that. That's just part of the housing now. Okay, I think that looks decent. So let's just remove that tool. Now we have to use the spiders. The spider liquid fuel engine, I want to use these as the sort of maneuvering thrusters. So we'll turn the gimbal off of this one, and I have no idea how this is going to behave now. I've never tried this before. So let's see what happens. Something like that. Usually when I'm playing Sandbox or anything, I won't turn off gimbal. So we'll see. Now what's going to look nice? Again, I don't want the engine sticking out there on the bottom. Something like that. That looks kind of decent. So there we go. And I think that's our core stage. Now you see, no, just put all the engines in the one stage. So the gimbal is off with all of these, but it's on with the spiders, so it will move. Now this gives us more than enough delta V. I think we need about 3.4 kilometers per second to make orbit. But obviously that's perfectly optimal and we can't go that far. So let's just say this is more than enough still to reach orbit. But the thrust to weight is very low. And actually, ironically, I think we could just do it with just this thing. But because we're trying to rebuild the R7, and still the R7 wasn't just used for Sputnik. It was used for Sputnik 2 as well. And then with Luna 3, for example, they just strapped an upper stage on the thing and it still worked. So essentially, building on the same design. And in that sense then, I do want this to have some kind of how can I say, extra capacity for the future. Because also if we look at Buzz Aldrin's Space Program Manager, which I have played a lot, there we can also see the R7 rocket has more than enough capacity to lift the Sputnik. So certainly I think it won't be too bad to have it, over-engineered. So let's just take these normal radial decouplers, but first I just want to copy this, so we can just remove that other one. Then I'm just going to work with one for now. So let's just put it onto this thing, more or less, actually as far up as possible, because when the boosters are released, this thing has to kick it more on the bottom than the top, so that it flips outside in to do that Korolev cross thing. So not sure if we'll be able to actually reproduce that, but here's hoping, I guess. So let's put them, I guess there will have to be the best way. And the same, actually it has to go a bit more down than that. That's why I'm also thinking it will be really good to save all these designs in the sub-assembly, because then it's so easy to just use it again in the future. And we can be like, hey, do you remember that episode where I built this? And you'll be like, yes, and we'll be like having a moment. Oh well. So let's just move that down so it lines up with the bottom edge there. No. Maybe a little bit in, just so it doesn't show any edges there. Something like that. That's decent. I should actually call these rockets like the R7-ish, because it's ish, you know, or R7-esque, more or less. So like that. So now we can just maybe also to just make it a bit more hopeful for the release, that it kicks it out, you know, first. It doesn't flip it over from the top to the outside, but from the bottom up. So we'll see if that works, and then all I have to do is 4 times symmetry and see if we can strap this thing on. No, hold on. Alignment is quite important. What am I doing? Oh, it's obviously the front one. So I have to see like that now. Something like that. Now we just need the top aerodynamic nose cone things. So like that. I mean, this is the closest I can get it. The whole thing should be tapered, you know, from the bottom to the top, like the tail fin kind of thing. But this is the closest we can do. So there we go. Now I don't think this proportion is quite right. This top thing should be a bit longer still. So before I mess with that boosters more, let's just fix that. But now, is that not going to be too much? I think that's actually not too bad in terms of the proportion. Then again, if we have to add the upper stage, it's going to get a bit too much, but we'll just see. Let's just leave it like this for now. Something like that. I know it's upside down there, but it looks a bit nicer like this, I think. More balanced. So, I think that does work, because it's like 2/3 of the height of the actual booster, not including the payload. So, okay, let's work with that. Now, this thing, I want to rotate it a little bit, just to help it when it releases the booster, so that it helps kick them up. So we have to just click on this one and just slightly, because I still want to move them in as well, without then actually clipping into the tank there. So we do have some limits here that we can, you know, go. I can of course try and just exchange this for the normal one, but then still we'll have the same problem right there in the corner where it will start clipping. So let's not do it, and that looks weird. So let's just how do I do that? There we go. So something like that. I mean, that's not terrible. I think that kind of works. So let's go with that. So then finally we just need the fin. The fin is too big in proportion, of course, but it is the smallest that we've got. Everything else will just look completely ridiculous. Though, to be fair, I won't mind that, because this is KSP, and we don't mind being a little silly from time to time. So, something like that. Let me just go back to the Wikipedia thing and just want to compare. So, we do have the boosters like that, and they all line up like this. I think it works. Do they have a picture somewhere here? Just drawings. No, it's fine. I can look it up, but I'm not going to bother. Well, you know, let's actually look it up. R7 Sputnik. So, I think that if we look at this image, the proportions are quite right. Also with this one. I just want to see, does it have... Oh, there's other people, of course, in Kerbal that have tried to do this. And there's this thing that I was also going to build. Oh well, this is the thing. You're never supposed to look it up because you'll see other people have done it and some of them have done it better. So, oh well. No, I think it's fine. I was just looking. There's a place I know where you get... But that's with a Soyuz booster, I think. Let's just look that up. Yeah, this is the thing I was thinking about. If the image will now load properly. There, you see in the middle here between the two boosters, they have this little cross of struts basically. And this one is different. No, it's not, because it's on its side. I was just thinking it looks like they're on a cross, but not like, you know, at the top. And anyway, never mind. It lines up. So, do you think maybe we should recreate that bit of a strut thing, since we do have that in KSP? I just want to see another picture. Here's another good one. It's strange from this angle. So it looks like it connects from the outside booster to the inner core, and then across to the other one. That's interesting. Is there any other one? Like a close-up, but not from the side again. But you also see this one is much longer than the one we're working with in proportion to the boosters. You see, the upper stage is also there. So I think we're on the right path. I think so. Here we go, is one right from the bottom. Yes, and it makes this cross, so I think that's fine. Let's go back. Let's try and put that in. Now, how can we do that best? Uh-oh, I do want to check again. Where was it? It's quite down. But see, now I'm getting all... Okay, it's quite low on the booster, near to where the engines are. But see, I don't want to get too caught up in all of these details and things. That's just a bit too much. So, something like that, perhaps. So, let's just put it here. And then it goes across to the inner booster, more or less flat, I guess. And then the same thing. So how did I do this? The long edge goes to the inside. And then there. So I know they're going to cross here. And struts really shouldn't cross like that, but it doesn't matter. It's not perfect, but... I don't know, does that look right? That looks not quite right. Oh well, we'll keep it. It works, it works. It's because the spaces here are bigger than the ones in the pictures, but I think that looks nice actually. It adds a little bit of something different, so maybe it's unique. Nobody has done that before in KSP. I doubt it, but we can dream, right? So let's put some kind of a clamp system here. Just thinking, obviously now the fins are in the way. I don't want to just... maybe I should just put it like that. Oh, it doesn't matter. But I was thinking, you know, we could have it release it from the bottom, like at an angle. Like that. But no, I don't think that will work because the boosters are in the way. That's fine. Could do it on the outside here. But let's just not. There we go. Now just put it back to 1 times symmetry and then drop this thing down to the middle somewhere. That'll work. Okay, so let's just see if everything is set up correctly. all the engines. We've got so many, it's ridiculous, but it makes it fun and interesting, and certainly has a lot of opportunity for things to go wrong. Now this one doesn't separate, of course, so it looks tremendous. I mean, 7 kilometers per second, it's almost enough to reach Earth's orbit, but due to a suboptimal ascent trajectory, which will happen, we need it. So I'll just say this is the R7 test. And save, and let's launch. Okay, so there we go. Everything is ready, and now you see it says 5.9 kilometers per second. I think it's got something to do with the engineer Redux mod not being properly updated for 1.2. I got it from somewhere on the forums. They discuss it, and then they put a link there to the GitHub, I think, and there you can still get this. It works, but as you could see there, it was saying 7 and now it's just under 6, so we'll just have to keep that in mind. So there we go, day 1, and let's see if this goes anywhere. 3, 2, 1. Okay, it lifts off very nicely. Not too much, not too little. I love our little rocket there on the flag. Actually, those struts work. I like them. There we go. Doesn't that look like the picture? Yay, I'm glad. Obviously we don't have a lot of gimbal control, but it's enough. But if we push it too far from the pro grade, we're gonna have problems. But that's where the fins will hopefully help stabilize things. I'm having a bit of trouble getting it exactly on the 90 though. Oh well, the thing is, these early rockets were more troublesome, I think. Obviously later on we have somewhat more reliable rockets. Of course we still have accidents and explosions and things, but see, this is the early days. We're just trying out design, so obviously it doesn't work perfectly, and we don't have a lot of gimbal control. See, I can't even push it down now to the north. That's it, there's nothing I can do. So I think it works. It's a slight bit too much turn, I think, and now it will be too late. I can't push it back up. No. The fins might be a little bit too much actually. Oh well, it's just a test. Let's just see if the separation of the boosters works like it should. Getting some heat effects. I want to avoid that on the way up. As the atmosphere thins out, I'm starting to get a bit more gimbal back, but really it's... no, they just fall off basically. That's not good enough. Okay, time to revert. It's just gonna crash anyway, it's just a test. So, couple of things we have to change here. First thing actually, and I don't know if this will make any difference whatsoever, but I want to try and move the wings a little bit into the vehicle. Partly just because of the scale is completely wrong. And maybe to some extent it will reduce the aerodynamic forces of the wings. I doubt it, but it might. Just move this up here. What is happening? Just want to see it from the bottom that it lines up. Yep. So I think that looks a bit nicer, but now we have to work on the separation of the boosters. And the best way, of course, is to use a separate ROM. Now, I don't think this was the case with the real R7, but hey, this is not the real R7. So, let me have a look. If I just put it somewhere now, there's a lot of clipping happening. And can I flip it upside down? Something like that. I'll move it around a bit. Then I just want to set it, the thrust, firstly as little fuel as possible. So 0.8 is the least that I can get. But then the thrust, I want to put it at like 50. Otherwise it's going to heat up the core stage, and I don't want any mishaps. So it will just split this 0.8 over 2 instead of 1 unit of time. So let's move it now nicely so that we just see the nozzle there. And maybe a little bit higher, otherwise it will definitely hit the engine, and I think that will cause explosions. Something like that. Okay, there we go. And this must fire when the separation happens, so let's do one more test, and then I think it's the end of this video. Then we'll do the actual Sputnik in the next episode. I think that will work. Don't want to make these too long. This is an achievement already, at least for me. So, shall we save it first? Always remember. And this time I'm not going to turn so quickly, so let's see how that goes. It's definitely a good ascent. Just want to try and get it onto the middle as quickly as possible. Okay, it's slightly turned there already, but that shouldn't be too much, hopefully. So at around 140, just slightly, about 2 or 3 degrees I would guess. And from there it should handle it on its own. Just try and get it more towards 90 again, but that really fiddles with it. That should do though. That's a nice sight. I love how it shakes a little bit here. Now I think we might actually be going too steeply. Or perhaps not, or I can always just bring the throttle down. And the thing is here, a guideline for me is I don't want it going more than 800 meters per second until we reach about 30 kilometers, because then we definitely will get heating effects. And that's just something I want to avoid for the appearance of it. It won't really have an effect. Yes, definitely too steep now. Just bring the throttle down again. Definitely we're already over 70, so again it's just a test. Now it's turning a bit more, I think. These boosters do last a long time though. Let's see what happens when they separate. See, we're almost above the atmosphere already. That's it. Look at that. Now that is what I'm talking about right there. So let's just empty the fuel here, and I'm not going to bother with putting this into an orbit. This is again a test. That's it. We'll end the test right here and just let it re-enter. But that is just fantastic right there. I must say I'm really proud of myself here. Okay, it's going to re-enter, so I'm not going to bother. We'll just go back to the Space Center and call this episode to a close. And I hope to see you in the next one. Hope you enjoyed. It's a bit of an unusual series, I guess, since it's not really career, more just messing around. But anyway, have a fantastic day.